Mr. Hansi Flick, here are some situations and tactics I do not want to see at Barcelona next season. We're not going to waste any more time. We're going to get right down to the video. But as always, do subscribe to the channel. It's going to help us a lot to get the family to grow even bigger. And drop your comments. I want to see what you think. What don't you want to see at Barcelona next season? Let's get right into the video. Comment Flick by your comment or your situation or tactic you don't want to see. The first thing is favoritism. I do not want to see favoritism at Barcelona, Mr. Hansi Flick, and I want to start off here, particularly with Robert Lewandowski, right? Robert Lewandowski is one of those players that at this point in his career is basically operating off of his name. If we have to substitute him, let's do that. Give other guys like Rafinha, give them a chance. Move around things if you have to, but don't give favoritism, right, to these older players, especially the players that you have. Give the likes of Mark Gui, give them a chance, Mr. Hansi Flick, you know. Don't play Lewandowski every game. I do not want to say favoritism like we saw from Xavi. If players don't perform, they still get picked. So favoritism out the door. The second thing is actually a tactic. I do not want to see us play with an extremely high line when we are going to have Robert Lewandowski alone up front. I'm actually dreading this guys, with Robert Lewandowski being alone up front, and then we're going to play a high line. Lewandowski is not somebody that can make his way around play anymore. If you're going to press with two players up front, you need to have either Rafinha or Ferran Torres in this game, especially against the big teams. If we're going to press high with Robert Lewandowski and have a high line, you should at least have Rafinha or Ferran Torres in your team. Because we've seen last season, even smaller teams have the audacity to hit Barcelona on a counter-attack. What other teams like Manchester City and all of those teams, the big teams that's quick on transition, you saw how Real Madrid plays on transition. I do not want to see a high line with Robert Lewandowski up front, guys. You saw how we struggled. I think our pressing is going to be better now with Gavi returning and also with a player like Fermin. But with Robert Lewandowski, guys, you saw how Flick was struggling with Kai Havertz and Füllkrug up front, you know, and Thomas Müller up front. I did a video already on that. So I do not want to see a high line with Robert Lewandowski. Now, I hope I'm not sounding frustrated or angry or anything like that, but I'm just so passionate about this club, man. Now, the next point I want to bring up is probably going to divide the opinion, but I think Fermin Lopez should start most of the games in the starting lineup and not from the bench. Let's be honest, guys. I would even put him above Pedri and Gavi. We know Gavi has been injured, but let's be honest, we kind of want Pedri to do what Fermin is doing at the moment, right? This is a guy that can get you goals, and he's a youngster. So do you or would you start Fermin Lopez ahead of Pedri? Let's be honest, he deserves to start, man. Another tactic I absolutely don't want to see at Barcelona next season against the smaller teams is this right here, a back three with a double pivot. Why are we still seeing this at Barcelona? And we're talking about Xavi, of course, but why are we still seeing this at a big team like Barcelona? And you know what's funny? Even though we have this formation, we are still conceding a lot of goals. This is really static. So, Mr. Flick, please, I do not want to see a back three against smaller teams and a double pivot. Why do you have a back three and a double pivot against the smaller teams? This makes the team static, and we've already established that, right? What instead we should be seeing is the fullbacks in their positions with only two center backs, with the wingers wide and people in the half spaces. This is going to create movement. For an example, we know the tiki-taka style. If a double pivot is already there, he cannot move there, right? Meaning he's not going to be able to pull players out of position. So if Gundogan, for instance, moves there, then Rafinha can invert, obviously bringing these players narrow, and then the passes can go around, and guess what? Now your fullback has space to move around in. So please, Mr. Flick, no double pivot against the smaller teams and no back three. This is going to be just doing us a solid favor of just making us static, right? But we do see that Flick doesn't have a permanent back three or a permanent double pivot like we saw under Xavi. So I do expect us to have a lot more fluidity under Hansi Flick. But guys, we need to have a flat 4-3-3 with a single pivot, right? So buying a single pivot is going to be extremely important for Barcelona, but I do not want to see a double pivot anymore. I talked about this countless times last season. how this is slowing us down and just not having us be able to compete with goals. And I do also not want to see a back three. We don't need a back three anymore. Another important thing is, Mr. Flick, this is not FC Barca Germany or FC Barcelona. One of the worst things I think Flick can do to himself is thinking that he can make Barcelona a carbon copy of what he did at Bayern. That he can do at Barcelona what he did at Bayern, you know, replicating the success, the style, the way that he operated, right? This is a total ball game. We don't have finances. We are not stable like Bayern was or anything like that. And we kind of see this at Germany, where Flick wanted to do at Germany what he did at Bayern Munich, and it didn't play out that well. If I can make an example, we all talked about the left-footed centre-back. You might not have a David Alaba. You might not have an Alphonso Davies. You don't have a backup striker. At Barcelona, you have Lamine Yamal, a great player, but you might have somebody like Vitor Roque as a substitute. You might get different injuries. So the worst thing that Hansi Flick can do to himself is trying to turn Barcelona into Bayern Munich. And I think it is just self-explanatory that we cannot afford Flick to do this and trying to replicate Bayern to Barca. And another tactic I absolutely do not want to see next season is Robert Lewandowski in particular dropping off into midfield to link up with the build-up play. Now, I don't have a problem with the tactic, but I have a problem when Robert Lewandowski is doing it. Now, I understand if you can have somebody like Ferran Torres who can come around and drop, but not Robert Lewandowski. By the time Lewandowski links up the play and he gets the ball to the wingers, he takes too long, in my opinion, to get back to where he needs to be. Ferran Torres is somebody that can run back faster in order to get back into position. But Robert Lewandowski is also too inconsistent when it comes to this particular tactic. The one game he plays good, the next one he's not so good, then he plays good for 2 games again, then he's trash at doing this for like 4 games in a row. And this is really has hurt his build-up play in particular. So I do not want to see Robert Lewandowski play this tactic ever. However, guys, I think we can all agree there's a lot more stuff that we didn't discuss in this video that we don't want to see at Barcelona. So that's why I said you guys should comment what you don't want to see at Barcelona next season, and we're going to make a whole video about it. We're going to talk about everybody's comment. So just write Flick down in the comment section followed by your comment, and we'll discuss it in the next one. And if you like content like this, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's going to help us a lot to get this family to grow. And we upload weekly Barcelona content like this, tactical content in particular. So thank you very much for watching this video. Also, thank you for your undying support. It's been a pleasure. See you guys in the next one.